back to another episode of Killer Collab. And this week, once again, I'm being joined by suit and tie movie guy, not Nikki Bella. And once again, I am Tony D, Tone Deaf from Florida, also on Instagram. Now, I wanted to throw Nick a little loop here. I didn't really tell him what we were doing today.
Of course you didn't.
I mean, I wanted to keep you on your toes. You are a professional, right?
Of course I am. I'm always prepared.
But you know what? I have a little clue for you.
All right. Well, what's your clue, Tony?
Now, you got to get it specifically just from this clue, all right? Ready?
Okay. I love games.
All right. Now,
A Twinkie?
one of my favorite snack foods.
No,
No, you didn't get it already.
I
did
got
you?
it. I know exactly
I knew
what
you'd
we're
get it.
doing.
I knew you'd get it.
2017's
it.
remake of It. I knew it. I got it. You can't pull the wool over my eyes.
No.
What? No?
Where did you get it?
What do you mean, where'd I get it?
How'd you get it?
Isn't it obvious? All right, bear with me, Tony,
Okay, go ahead.
since
Go ahead.
clearly you don't know how to
Okay.
freaking give people hints. Okay.
I want my Twinkie back.
Twinkies are filled with cream.
Uh-huh.
Cream goes in coffee. Coffee is what they drink on Friends at Central Perk. Perk rhymes with smirk. Smirk is a synonym of smile, which is what Pennywise does before he bites people's arms off. Come on, Tony. Can't believe you wouldn't think of that, man.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No. Okay.
All right. Can you give me another hint?
Technically, it's not a horror movie.
Oh, I got it this time.
Okay.
Never Been Kissed. Great choice. I love that movie. Drew Barrymore, David Arquette, they were in Scream together. That's a really good idea. What?
Why?
That's not right?
Why would it be Never Been Kissed?
Why wouldn't it be Never Been? You know what? Hold on a second. It's not a horror movie. This is Killer Collabs. I mean, isn't that like against the rules? Are you rewriting the rules on me?
It's a funny thing you say rules, because this movie, to survive, you have to follow an explicit set of rules.
All right, Tony, listen, I know I hit you in the head with that DVD, when we were shooting the intro.
It still hurts.
But is your memory that bad? Do I need to, call a nurse to babysit you all the time? I mean, dude, we just did Scream and went over the rules not even a month ago. I mean, bro, what is wrong with your memory, bro? We just did Scream.
It's not Scream.
Okay, then what is it? Okay, I don't want to play these stupid games anymore. Is it Saw?
No.
Okay.
Why would it be Saw?
Because I want to play a game. I mean,
I like that, but no, we did play a game, and you failed. Failed miserably.
Well, maybe you should have given me better clues. What are we doing the podcast on?
Today, we are doing our episode on 2009's horror comedy, Zombieland.
That's the movie.
Yeah.
You thought a Twinkie
Twinkie.
would be a good choice for Zombieland. I mean, you see, Tony, this is why you will always be the beta of the movie channel. I mean, okay, listen, if I was going to do a hint to get you to think of Zombieland, you know what I would pick? Because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing. I would pick retired baseball player who played for the Brewers, the Padres, the Marlins, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Yankees, the Tigers, the Mets, Gary Sheffield. Clearly the best clue you could possibly give to get someone to guess Zombieland.
What does Gary Sheffield? You know what? I'm not getting into this. All right. Today, we're doing Zombieland.
All right, listen. Here's my issue with you picking Zombieland and not telling me, because I've had no time to prepare.
Exactly.
I have nothing. Can you hold those snowballs? I have nothing with me. I've made no notes. And 2009 horror comedy Zombieland with Woody Harrelson.
Why do you have snowballs with you?
Why don't you have snowballs with you? Also starring
You're always
Abigail
asking
Breslin.
me for food.
Because that's your food. I don't want to eat my food.
Well, good. I want snowballs.
Anyway, also inspired by
Wait.
Shauna.
And you have a script for Zombieland too?
I have a script for every movie possibly on the face of the earth that you could have picked in my jacket pocket, because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing. Now, can you please stop talking so I can do this? They found the house.
Okay, wait. Stop right there. Let's just get into it.
Limber up, because it starts right now.
welcome back to the Killer Collab. As you saw in the intro, that we are doing 2009 Zombieland. And the reason why we chose Zombieland is because the new sequel is coming out this October. And if you didn't see the reaction to it, it's on Instagram right now, as well as the YouTube channel also listed. I listed it the day after it was released. Not too late, but it was within a good amount of time.
Yeah, you know, they've been talking about doing a sequel for a long time. And
I've been waiting for it.
yeah, and I really like Zombie. I mean, it's not my favorite zombie movie. You know, it's not even my favorite zombie comedy, but I really, really enjoyed this movie. And, you know, the first thing I noticed watching the trailer, which I only watched the first one, I'm not going to watch anymore because they tend to spoil the movies these days in the trailers. But the first thing I noticed is how almost none of them look like they've aged. Jesse Eisenberg looks exactly the same as he did.
Well,
10 years
Abigail
ago.
Breslin does.
Well,
she was a child.
She was a little
She was
kid,
a child. Yeah.
but still, even her facial features really haven't changed besides being matured. But you know, as far as Zombieland goes, I had to research this a little bit more than I did Scream or Jaws, because off the top of my head, I knew a lot of stuff about it. But Zombieland's one of the movies where I did know some stuff, but I had a really good time researching it. And you know, right out of the gate, when you turn Zombieland on, that opening sequence is easily one of my favorite opening sequences.
Absolutely,
of
that
all
soundtrack
time.
just kicks it off. That sound.
Right. They used "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica while introducing you to the rules. So in Zombieland, there are officially, I believe, 32 rules, 10 of which are mentioned at some point during the movie. Right out of the gate, you see seatbelts, double tap, check cardio. Yeah. So I mean, right out of the gate,
check the back seat.
Right. You get kind of introduced to some of the rules, but that opening sequence is really awesome. I mean, not only do you have Metallica playing, but you get those slow motion shots of people
really
running
gruesome.
and the fire.
Gruesome
and
too.
There was a stunt. I believe I heard it was a stunt man that went through the windshield. I could be thinking of
See, I would have thought that would have been like full CGI, because that just.
Well, I thought I could be thinking of Dawn of the Dead with the woman in the wheelbarrow. That was for sure a man. But I heard that the stunt person flying through the windshield was a man dressed as a woman. But I could be wrong. But I believe I read that somewhere. But that whole opening was awesome. I really liked it. I thought, you know, having some of the characters that you see later in the movie, the guy that we'll get into the ring scam a little bit later, but you see the guy involved in the ring scam get attacked on the toilet, and you see the large gentleman running on the football field.
The cardio.
Right, the cardio. He's one of the guys that is in the grocery store later. So, I mean, right off the bat, you get some pretty cool shots.
He's the one that dies with the
zombies.
shears?
Yeah, it was one of those guys. So you get some really cool shots right off the bat, with, you know, the people who are on fire, and you see the stripper with the tassels running in slow motion.
Spitting out blood.
Kind of sets the tone for the movie. So, and pretty quickly,
Which was wild.
Yeah,
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this movie in theaters, but.
I'm definitely gonna see the next one in theaters.
Oh, absolutely. We're definitely gonna have to do a podcast on that. But right off the bat, when the movie starts, after that happens, we meet Jesse Eisenberg, and you kind of see right out of the gate that he's a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
He's terrified of everything.
He surprised himself just by surviving, but he follows his rules.
Yeah.
He follows his rules, and you know that's what keeps him alive.
Right, exactly. And we meet Tallahassee. Obviously, there's no names that are given in the movie besides, you know, like Bill Murray, but they do. We find out Emma Stone's real name is Krista, which is actually the name of her mother in real life is Krista. So they use that. She's
sweet.
Wichita. Abigail is what? Little Rock. Little Rock. Woody Harrelson is Tallahassee, and Jesse Eisenberg is Columbus. And actually, a lot of these actors were not the first choice. Not only that, but the directors. Well, I have a list, and I am going to read this because I don't want to mess anything up. I didn't write down every actor that was supposed to be this person and supposed to be that person. But originally, Jesse Eisenberg's character was going to be played by Jamie Bell, but he had to drop out. So they wanted Taylor Lautner from Twilight. But,
I couldn't imagine it.
He was not available. Megan Fox turned down the role of Wichita, as well as a few other people. Paul Wernick. I don't know if I said that right,
I
but he was out for the role of Tallahassee, and he actually played Tallahassee in the pilot for the TV show.
TV show, okay.
Originally, it was supposed to be a TV show, and they ended up turning it into a movie. And actually, do you know who the director was supposed to be, but he did not want it?
I do not.
John Carpenter
No
from
way.
the Halloween franchise. Yes, absolutely. It seemed like everything went...
But as a TV show, do you think they could afford that? As a TV
No, I
show?
think it was just for the movie.
Okay.
But the whole film only took 42 days to shoot. So compared to some of the other movies we've done where they've been nightmares, it seemed like this one was pretty smooth.
Well, if you think about a lot of like the sets that they had to use, there was a couple city scenes and like highways. Like I don't see it being too much of a budget killer, really.
Well, they shot actually in a lot of the same areas as Walking Dead, because Walking Dead, a lot of it was filmed in Atlanta, and they did a lot of stuff in Atlanta and Georgia filming for this movie. The director was, bear with me, Ruben Fleischer. I've honestly never heard of him, but I think he did a really good job.
Okay.
But we meet.
I like the cutaways in the movie.
Oh yeah, where they show like flashbacks.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I just love that.
And zombie kill of the week. So right off the bat.
It's okay.
Right at the beginning, we see that Tallahassee is on a quest for Twinkies.
Twinkie, and now you know where my clue came from.
No, I still don't get it. And like right off the bat, he comes up to a hostess truck filled with snowballs.
See, I'll take a snowball.
You want a snowball?
Hell yeah, we'll take
a snowball.
I love me a snowball.
So,
Balls.
we see Jesse Eisenberg limbering up, and Tallahassee's just like, what's going on? I mean, he's a huge.
He's like, are you messing with me? Are you messing with me by doing this?
Huge lover of Dale Earnhardt. You see the number 3 on his truck. He's got the cow catcher on the front. So they go down to the hostess truck, and he opens the door, and it's nothing but snowballs. That good?
Oh yeah.
Yum. One of the funny things, and those are actually pink. We have blue. But one of the funny things about this movie, and a lot of people don't realize this, but there are multiple situations in the movie, and this is one of them, this part, where if he had just paid a little more attention, he would have found a Twinkie at the beginning.
What do you mean?
Because when he opens up the hostess truck, he's rifling through all the snowballs, and there's a quick shot from the inside of the truck. And if you're looking at them, if you look to the right side, there are Twinkies stacked up, as seen in this picture.
Yeah, like, without actually looking at it closely, I would never have... What are you eating?
Twinkie. But you don't want to get to eat? Keep looking.
Anyway, if I didn't take a closer look at that, I would have never noticed it.
No, there's actually a couple of scenes in the movie where they have that. We'll get into the other one once we get down to that position. So it's stuck in my mouth. So as it progresses, we see that he's afraid of a lot of things. He's afraid to go to the bathroom in public. He's afraid of clowns.
Yeah.
And we get a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of a flashback to the beginning of the apocalypse, where, he, like myself, is a lover of Mountain Dew Code Red. I'm not a huge soda guy, but Code Red's definitely one of my favorites.
That's a classic from our high school days.
I remember the first time I had it, but that's a story for another day. So, right at the beginning of the apocalypse starting, we see that he had an extremely hot neighbor that he only called 406. So, I don't know if you know this, but 406 was actually the area code for Montana. So keeping up with the Columbus, Tallahassee.
Okay. But, so I guess he just didn't like names? I was like, there's something with this movie, just no names.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's it'll be interesting to see if they talk about it anymore in this movie. But, obviously this is a horror comedy, and more on the side of comedy. But I will say, when his neighbor attacks him, I mean, she gives the story about how someone tried to bite her. And guys, I'm sorry, I'm having some allergic reaction to his cats, so...
Stop playing with them so much.
I love them. I can't help it. But, she attacks him, and it's actually a pretty, for a comedy, a pretty scary situation where, she keeps attacking him and trying to bite him, and he shatters her ankle, and it's really gory. She ends up getting hit over the head with
My favorite piece.
toilet.
I was gonna say the toilet seat fell. Bang! That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Out of the park.
You know, it's honestly one thing that I had a little bit of a problem with in this movie is there wasn't enough zombies a lot of the time. You know, I mean, we get the scene towards the end where they're at the where they're at the carnival, but there could have been a lot more zombie action, but despite that, they still managed to make it.
Well, look about where they're driving. Like they're driving through like the
middle of nowhere.
They're doing Route 66. Like there's nobody out there.
And from a realistic standpoint, what people don't realize is like how many people there are on the planet. I mean, if a zombie apocalypse were ever to happen, you know, we immediately would have more than half the world either eaten or zombies. I mean, there would be hundreds of thousands of zombies everywhere, especially if you live in a city. So we get that scene where we're introduced to 406, and he almost dies, and it gives a little backstory on him. And, you know, these two are complete opposites. I mean, you know, Jesse Eisenberg is the soft, scared, respectful guy who always plays it safe. And Tallahassee, you know, Woody Harrelson, he's the, you know, macho, beat you with his bare hands.
Yeah, he's the guy to pick fights in a bar.
Exactly. and you know, all four of the actors or actresses in this movie have been nominated for an Academy Award. Every single one of them. And the only one to actually win was Emma Stone. She won for La La Land.
That's a good movie.
I honestly, I've never seen it, but I've heard a lot of really good things about this.
It's a good date movie.
So, you know, they're trying to make their way to their
their cities. Columbus is trying to go to Ohio.
Yep.
Tallahassee's trying to go to Tallahassee. They're going east.
Right. So we ended up coming up to the supermarket, and you know, a lot of people thought that they just rented out a supermarket for this particular scene. And what I found out when I was digging through my research is it would have cost too much money. So what they ended up doing was they built a set. And if you look closely, you probably won't be able to tell, but the refrigerators and everything in the background, it was just paper and pictures and stuff like that.
You know what? I spent a lot of time in San Francisco this past month.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I did. Anyway, in Walgreens, there actually is literally it's a digital wall.
Really?
Yeah, you actually see what's inside the fridge without opening it. So
that's cool. It's kind of like a electricity saving thing, right?
Yeah. So you don't have to open the fridge and look at it.
Really good idea.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. So it doesn't steam up, but it's actually just a digital thing, and you actually see what's in it before you even like it's a big ad digitalized on there. It's actually pretty cool.
God, man, the things
technology
that come up with these days.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're driving down the road with these two. You know, getting a little bit more of kind of like a backstory on both of them, and we see that Tallahassee really likes to kill the zombies. You know, he has to have fun with it. They see one in the middle of the road, and it's eating, and
his manwich.
God, I love manwich.
Sloppy Joe. My favorite day in lunchtime in school. You know,
Sloppy Joe's.
Sloppy Joe day.
I made them like 2 weeks ago with I put some sour cream on them. Trust me, my mom did it. Amazing. And mac and cheese. But anyway, speaking of food, so we see them go into the supermarket. They're picking their weapons of choice, and of course, fitting with the country backwoods.
Well, there's got to be a Twinkie in there somewhere, right?
There has to be. I heard there might have been a Twinkie in one of the shots, but that's one thing I couldn't confirm. But he ends up luring the two zombies in, one of which being the cardio zombie from earlier in the movie, the other one being Big Brutus, Beefcake. But he lures them in with, of course, the Deliverance scene. Have you seen that movie?
Deliverance? Oh, yeah.
That scene?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, terrible. So they dispose of those two zombies with the sliding baseball bat and with the hedge clippers lopping off his head, which was excellent.
Off with his head.
Off with her head. So finally we get introduced to Emma Stone's character, Wichita, and we get introduced to Abigail Breslin's character, Little Rock. So they basically pulled the wool over the guy's eyes and said that she'd been bitten, and they tricked them into letting her have the gun, and they ended up robbing the guys of their car, their supplies, everything. And now's where we get one of those flashbacks to the two girls. You remember earlier we were talking about the beginning of the movie with the guy in the toilet dying from the zombie? Well, his character was one of the people that got scammed by these two girls. And when I saw this movie, I was just like, that's brilliant. I mean, the stuff that they did to get money before the apocalypse was genius. So for those at home, if you guys haven't seen this, and even if you have, I want to talk about it because it's great.
Well, they grew up with survival of the fittest. Basically, they had to like fend for themselves. They had to make money. They made hustles. They've been stealing from guys as dumb as day,
like me. So, like I said, for those of you
we call
guys
you a mark.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a wrestling term. So, but yeah, so one of the tactics that they used to get money, and I know it comes a little bit later in the movie, but I really want to talk about it because I want to.
Well, it's their introduction. Basically, it's their backstory.
Is we see the beautiful Emma Stone outside of a gas station on her hands and knees looking for something, and the gas station attendant, being this geeky dweeb, comes out like, "Oh, what are you looking for?" And she's, "Oh, my engagement ring. I lost it. It's worth." I don't remember how much.
More than his car. That's what she said. More than his car.
Yeah, it was worth.
It was a BMW convertible, right? That she drove up in.
Exactly. She's like, if you can help me find it, I'll give you a reward. Was it $5,000?
3 or 5? Yeah.
Something like that. So, she leaves, gives him her contact information, and he's on the phone talking to a friend, and he sees her sister sitting there with the ring. And he's like, "Oh, you found my ring." So she said, "Do I get a reward?" So he basically, thinking he's going to get this huge reward, empties out the cash register for, whatever, a few $100s.
Yeah.
And she gets back in the car with her sister, and we find out that they've been doing this. They buy these rings for $20 or $30.
Costume jewelry.
And they get hundreds, and it basically is helping them make their way across the country. Yeah. And, I'm not one for thieves, guys, but I thought that was brilliant. So, anyway, we're back to the guys. Woody Harrelson's getting really angry because his car got stolen. He's beating up his car and ends up pulling a muscle. And, of course, Columbus isn't going to say anything. But one of my other favorite scenes in this movie, they find the yellow Hummer. They find the yellow Hummer. And, of course, what's inside it?
A hand.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll give you a hand for that. But in addition to that, while he's checking the back seat, because that is one of the rules, they find a bag full of guns. So here comes I'm sorry.
Little montage.
Yo, what's the song though?
Oh,
Van Halen. Everybody wants some. I want some too.
I don't know, actually.
And that's the song. So, anyway, it is Van Halen. If I got that wrong, guys, because it's on in the background, but it's muted, tell me about it in the comment section. So, he paints the number 3. Dale Earnhardt, he's saying, "I love rednecks. I love it." You see this crappy rundown house, but this beautiful Hummer, because it seems people that always have really bad houses sometimes can blow all their money on Hummers. If that's you, tell me about it in the comment section. So, they're making their way, back to where they're going. They're trying to get back on track, and they end up seeing his old car on the side of the road. And
from
he's
a distance.
Like, "Oh, the girls, they broke down. Ha ha ha." So this time they're playing it a little bit more on the safe side. They're, putting one guy here, one guy there, and Woody Harrelson. Ends up.
They're trying to play it smart.
Right. So, but basically what happened is they get screwed over again, and when they get screwed over, he's like, "No one kill me with my own gun." Yeah. But I mean, at this point, they're just like, "Hey, can we stop trying to kill each other? Like, we're the only people left on Earth. I mean, seriously." So the girls let them come with them, and they.
Well, then we find a little bit more backstory about
exactly.
About Tallahassee.
We find the backstory on Tallahassee, which we see him talking about him losing his little puppy, which obviously.
Well, they're making the assumption his little one, his boy.
Exactly. He's talking about his dog, and actually, what I found out doing the research was that the dog used in the movie was Abigail Breslin's little golden retriever, but.
I want one. They're so adorable.
I had a golden retriever growing up, so. But one of the rules that he ended up adding was enjoy the little things.
Yes.
So We found out a little bit of a backstory about that. Jesse Eisenberg is really starting to annoy Emma Stone, so she's like, hey, let's play the quiet game. And, he asks, hey, have you heard anything about Columbus, Ohio? And she's like, well, you don't know how to play the quiet game. Well, they're playing it there because everyone's dead. And Woody Harrelson's kind of like, and she puts two and two together. You're Columbus. So, well, hey, maybe they're okay. So we find out that the girls are on their way to Pacific Playland, which
is like the equivalent to like Disneyland or something.
Right,
like that.
Wally World.
Wally World.
Wally World. So the four decide that they're going to stick together, at least for the time being, before they ultimately separate. But they end up at kind of a gift shop for like Native American stuff. There's drums and all kinds of stuff, and you can see that Jesse Eisenberg is he's got the hots for Emma Stone, and Woody Harrelson's making fun of him for the perfume that he's putting on. We see we see them talk about Zombie Kill of the Week with I think it was Sister Mary Catherine.
Oh yeah, because
she drops the piano.
Yeah.
And they talk about running over a zombie with one of those steamrollers. It's like a toothpaste. So we get some good stuff there.
Was it a Zamboni or was it a bulldozer?
No, it was like a steamroller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we get the zombie, them talk about Zombie Kill of the Week, and basically Woody Harrelson's making fun of him for wearing perfume, and he squirts Woody Harrelson, and he says, hey, I'm going to quote him, I'll beat wholesale ass for less than that. And he says, I'm going to give you 45%, and punches him in the arm, which knocks over some stuff and breaks it. And then they kind of like have a revelation, like, oh, we can break all this stuff. And it was a perfect example of enjoy the little things. So we see them destroy everything, and on the way out,
destruction.
She says, you smell like perfume. So they're looking for somewhere to stay for the night. So they go into the city, which from a realistic standpoint, is probably not a good idea. But they go into the city and they get the star maps, and they don't say where they're going. Kind of like the Twinkie trick on me. We don't find out. We see BM. We assume it's probably not Bowel Movement, but maybe Bob Marley. But ultimately, it ends up being Bill Murray's house. Now, again, something that I found during my research. Obviously, that's not Bill Murray's house, but it was the house of Lee Najjar, he's in real estate. It's outside of Atlanta in a place called Buckhead. So, I mean, it's a beautiful house. Well, we get a lot of really good stuff in this scene. We see Bill Murray's death, sadly. Somehow I think they're going to bring him.
They need to bring him back. I don't care how they do it.
But first you think he's a zombie. Then you find out he's just dressed as a zombie because zombies don't kill other zombies.
Well, he wanted to blend in.
They said
he wanted to go shopping. He wanted to go do stuff. He just wanted to walk around like a zombie.
Well, there's a lot of little Easter eggs as far as honestly kind of foreshadowing for real life in these scenes. He says, "Oh, you look like Eddie Van Halen," and then you find out Eddie Van Halen's dead. But one of the songs in the movie is a Van Halen song. Yep. So. They're having fun. They're reenacting everything. They say, "Hey, let's go scare the kids," and Bill Murray ends up getting shot.
Right when
he dies in a hilarious way.
Right when he's showing Ghostbusters, the movie, when they're showing Little Rock.
Yep.
The Ghostbusters.
And it's funny because Woody Harrelson is flipping out and saying how much he loves Bill Murray movies, but he was in Kingpin with Bill Murray, so that was kind of like a little, I guess, Easter egg too. And
that's
then,
a good movie too.
We get the big reveal that his puppy dog Buck was actually his son, which was really sad. And then, of course, they had to make it funny by throwing in the Titanic line.
I haven't cried this much since Titanic.
He's wiping his eyes with the money.
With the real money.
Yeah.
It's like it's worthless now.
But it's funny because, Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone are sitting there talking, and, what do you miss most? What don't you miss? And Jesse Eisenberg talks about Facebook, and he ended up being in The Social Network.
Yeah.
So there was, a lot of little,
That's
I wouldn't say Easter eggs because you're just, kind of predicting the future. Fulfilled prophecy. Clearly Zombieland's real. Well, we're going to get a lot of dislikes from from that community. So one of the things, and I'm going to talk about this because, everyone knows he doesn't like snakes. So I have in my possession a green anaconda.
That's why we shoot here.
Yeah, I have a green anaconda. She's beautiful. He doesn't like snakes. But they talk about the first R-rated movie she saw in 1997 being Anaconda, and Anaconda is PG-13. So not really a big deal, but I had to talk about it. And if you guys want to check out my personal YouTube, which has my anaconda and my other bows, I'm gonna have them put it in the
the Instagram will be in the description. Yep. I will not do any movies relating to snakes because that means I have to edit those videos. No. I have to edit and shoot those videos. So it's no.
So, but if you guys want to check out my Instagram,
it's got to get a lot of likes.
If you guys want to check out my Instagram or my YouTube, my personal YouTube, it's nothing that's going to take away from us. It's all about my beautiful snakes, which he doesn't like, but they're beautiful. So, we get a lot of.
I'll link in the bottom.
We get a lot of really good stuff at the house. They kind of start flirting with each other. They go to kiss, and Tallahassee kind of walks in on them, and it makes the girls realize, like, hey, we need to stay focused. Yep. We need, we have a goal. We don't need anyone but ourselves. So they, of course, again, sneak out, steal the car, and they end up at Pacific Playland. And Pacific Playland has to be one of the stupidest ideas, but at the same time, one of the coolest scenes in any zombie movie.
Yeah.
Because you see all kinds of amazing kills. You see them on the rides shooting.
It's like a video game at that point. It's literally like a video game, like a first-person shooter, like going through, and it's like just crazy.
There was one thing about I don't let stuff like this bother me. Is I hate talking zombies, and it was good that they don't have any talking zombies in this. That's like as soon as I hear a talking zombie, I'm usually done, with the exception of Deadheads.
Well, what about I Am Legend? I Am Legend. He did at the end. Technically not zombies.
Really a zombie movie. Yeah. I don't really like that movie that much, honestly. But as far as Pacific Playland goes, and one thing that bothered me a little bit in this movie, but not too much, was the fact that we're into the zombie apocalypse a decent amount of time, and there's still power everywhere. That's one thing about Walking Dead, whether you love Walking Dead or you hate Walking Dead, that is somewhat realistic, is the fact that if everyone died, there's no one there controlling the power supply, so there wouldn't be power after, maybe.
Well, think about it this way, because Disney World has its own solar power, own power manufacturing.
Right. But it's not just, it's everything. Like Bill Murray's house. I mean, you can explain it away, but that was one thing that I love about.
See, I can look past stuff like that. Like, I think of generators. I'll think of the most wildest stuff.
Well, I can too, but I do really enjoy when they try to be at least realistic. I mean, even in Walking Dead, I mean, they're driving cars on gas for 4 years when gas only lasts, maybe a year, maybe a little longer if you're lucky. But again, it's a movie, so they end up at Pacific Playland. Jesse Eisenberg, he's going to go save them. And then Tallahassee's like, you can't do this alone. I'm going to help you. So they go to save the day. The girls are stuck on one of the rides trying to... That's
one of the rides I don't actually go on. I hate those rides.
Like
I
hate those. Yeah. I don't like Tower of Terror.
And then you have Doom and Universal. Doom, I hate those rides.
I love roller coasters, but I hate up and down drives.
No, I can't do that.
So we're in Pacific Playland. The girls are stuck. They're in trouble. They bring the SUV and they dump it in the water, and Tallahassee ends up, they go around, riding the rides, hooking onto stuff and shooing stuff, but...
See, that was like a video game. That's why it's hilarious. I meant to do that in VR. Video game, Zombieland VR game.
There is a video game bar. If you guys ever come down to Florida, where I'm from, when I go down there on vacation, or when I come down and meet up to shoot stuff, so there's a video game bar in Dunedin, and the name escapes me, but they have a whole virtual reality room for zombies. And if I can think of the name, we'll put it down there for anyone who's from the Florida area. But we're at Pacific Playland, and we get some really good zombie kills, but Tallahassee ends up locking himself into a kiosk. And I remember when I first saw this movie that I was positive Tallahassee was going to die. If you guys haven't seen it, here's a quick shot of the type of setup that Woody Harrelson locked himself in. don't know about you, but I for sure thought that he was gonna die there, even though it was a comedy.
I mean, he didn't have that many clips, and there was like, what, 50 of them?
Well, yeah, he set down 4 clips, and then he had 2 in the gun itself.
Yeah.
So depending on how many rounds, I mean, he would have to be pinpoint with his accuracy because he was surrounded by them. But it's a comedy, it's a movie,
yeah.
you know, it's not a big deal. But I will say that as someone who likes to go to the range and shoot, I mean, I'm far from an excellent shot, but
he's been doing this for a while now.
right.
I mean,
but it is so hard. To hit such a small area as that. That's why, like, police officers, they always say aim for center mass, because in a high stress situation, where and now in this situation he pretty much could sit there at point blank range. But the one thing that in Walking Dead and zombie movies is these people are in high stress situations. They're running, they're turning, and they are popping off headshots. Just because you hit something in the head doesn't mean that it's going to destroy the brain where it needs to be. You know, you need to basically remove where it connects to the skull. But again, it's a movie, so he ends up killing them all and coming out alive,
victorious.
And Jesse Eisenberg leads the zombies through a haunted house, you know, with the maze and everything, and comes up on one of my favorite lines in the movie where he's going to save the girls. Abigail Breslin shot the emergency brake,
so they're stuck up top,
using her newfound aiming ability that Woody Harrelson talked to.
Breathing technique.
So they're up there, and Jesse Eisenberg stops short and says, "Look at this effing clown." And when the camera pans around, it's actually a clown. So he ends up breaking one of his own rules: don't be a hero. He ends up crushing the clown's head with one of the strength test hammers. Big mallet. They get the girls down, and they kind of rejoice and hug and everything. And
they had a moment. We
see not only a Twinkie stand, but a fried
Twinkies. Now we know where
haven't had those.
Now we know where Tallahassee is.
Yes. So remember earlier I talked about there are multiple scenes where if he had just kept looking, he would have found the Twinkies.
Yeah.
This is the other one that I have confirmed. So he walks in, and they're looking for the Twinkies. He's freaking out, and Jesse Eisenberg hears a noise, which ends up being a rat, and he shoots into the cabinet and ends up destroying all the Twinkies. But if you pause on the wall on the inside of that room, there's more Twinkies there. And if he had just kept looking. Now, I don't know if you knew this or if you guys at home knew this, but Woody Harrelson's actually a vegan. So Twinkies have eggs, and they also have beef fat in them. So it's not vegan. So for the movie, they actually made Twinkies out of cornmeal just so Woody Harrelson could take a bite of them.
Wonder how tasty that would be.
I mean, considering it, I'm sure he wouldn't do it, all the time. But so he finally, so he doesn't get his Twinkie, and they hear the girls start to steal the car again, and they're like, no. So they run out, and the girls stop, and they're just teasing. They're
well, they had a moment. Emma Stone gave that gaze, that
beautiful eye gaze,
man.
And Abigail throws him a Twinkie, and he gets to enjoy it. So the
emotional.
Girls get out, and they kind of realize, like, listen, we're family now. We found each other for a reason. We're gonna survive this together. And one thing that I did not mention earlier, because I wanted to save it for this moment, is my absolute favorite line of the entire movie. When I saw this, I was dying with laughter. When we first see 406, he talks about how he's always wanted to brush hair over a girl's ear. Yeah. And then when he first sees Wichita, he said, "Oh."
In the supermarket.
Yes, in the supermarket. He says, "Someone's ear is in danger of having hair brushed over it." So he's always talking about brushing the hair over a girl's ear. So he walks up to Wichita, and he finally brushes the hair over a girl's ear, and then he kisses her. And they basically ride off into the sunset, and that ends Zombieland.
Zombieland? That ends Zombieland. But the sequel will be out in October, which we're looking forward.
So, I mean, I remember seeing this in theaters, and, like, I look back, I'm like, God, but if this was 10 years, it doesn't seem like that long.
10 years?
I mean, some movies, it's like, man, it's only been 10 years. But for me, if I didn't know what year it came out, I would guess that it came out like around 2014 or 2015 because it only seems like it's been like only 5 or 6 years.
Well, because the actors have been in acted in movies so like recently, like a lot of them.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you see them so often.
That's an award-winning cast, and I will admit that there are quite a few zombie movies that I like more than this. Shaun of the Dead. If you guys remember on my top 10 list, Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite movies. It's definitely my favorite zombie movie.
One of my favorites
the
too.
director was actually inspired by the writer was inspired by Shaun of the Dead to make this.
I can see why. I can see why.
Yeah, so
it's hilarious. It's wonderful. I love the story. It's it's
I'm really looking forward to the.
They both have
one.
a love story.
It looks good. I don't want to get my hopes up, but it looks like they have a pretty good story. They're bringing in some more characters, and hopefully, somehow they'll bring back this guy. Bill frickin' Murray. I know that's not his middle name, but...
Guys, thank you for watching us. This is a Killer Collab. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell. If you like what you saw, this is Tone Deaf in Florida.
And Suit and Tie movie guy Nick Bella saying, enjoy the little things.
Oh, so good.
Oh, wow.
Where's my YouTube?
It's over there.
Where? Over there?
Yeah. Just keep
If I walk over here and you lock me out again, I swear.
I'll never do that.
This is the
again.
fourth time.
I didn't do that last time.
I'm asking for you.
I mean, oh, this is so good.